Who likes money? My name is Whitney, and I'm here to talk about financial literacy because you need money to come into this world, and you'll need money throughout leaving. The sad truth is, the majority of people today are really uneducated about money and their own finances, and we see that every day all over the world. I have a ton of facts for you. In an international organization for economic cooperation and development study in 2005, they found that in Australia, 67% of respondents indicated that they understood the concept of compound interest, yet when they were asked to solve a problem using the concept, only 28% had a good level of understanding. And a survey of Korean high school students showed that they answered fewer than 60% of the questions correctly on tests designed to measure their inability to choose and manage a credit card, their knowledge about saving and investing for retirement, and their awareness of risk and the importance of insuring against it. We also have the same problems at home. A survey in the US found that 4 out of 10 American workers are not saving for retirement. I see that in the military. I'm hoping we at least have 4 out of 10 because I'm constantly talking to young airmen about the importance of putting money away and that they wouldn't be able to live the same way that they do now, even if they do stay in 20 years and get that retirement pay. According to Debt.org, more than 160 million Americans have credit cards. The average credit card holder has at least 3 cards, and on average, each household with a credit card carries more than $15,000 in credit card debt. So that's huge, and that we have statistics showing that people don't understand compound interest. They don't understand or don't understand the risk involved, as well as not being trusted to make good choices about credit cards. That's not good. And I think that is further reflected in not just citizens and the individual alone, but in the government. According to taxfoundation.org, the federal government expenditures have increased from under 3% of the economy in 1900 to 24% of the economy in 2012. We're constantly spending more than we have, and I think that it's become just a general mindset, and I think at the very least, if we understand it on an individual level, we can take care of our own finances and be in a better spot. This financial literacy is really hitting home. You can see it in everyday life within families and communities. 2 big ones would be that people are losing their houses, and it is really causing a divide within families because people fight about it. So the total U.S. bankruptcy filings in 2011 was 1.4 million, and 1 in every 69 homes were foreclosed in 2011. And that's just crazy to think about, because when you think about the American dream and owning your own home, even though we have things put in place to where you can do that, and you don't have to put all that money forward at once, I think people don't really understand the whole process, and it really can take your legs out from under you if you don't understand how it works. A study by Citibank in 2001 found that 57% of divorced couples said money fights were a primary factor in divorce. Also, a U.S. Centers for Disease Control reports that 38,364 Americans committed suicide in 2010, which is approximately 142% of suicides during the depths of the Great Depression. So the suicide rate is lower today than the Great Depression, but given that we have more Americans, it's actually more suicides. know that suicide really is a huge problem in the military as well, and I think that it honestly could be easily related to financial problems. But it's not just military members. I think in general we're not really educating ourselves, and we're not being taught in schools or otherwise how to manage money. And I think that with the invention of credit cards and the ease of getting a loan, especially for a mortgage, we kind of have normalized it in society, just debt as a whole. And I think that large companies use that to prey upon people, and you don't have to be in the military to be preyed upon and taken advantage of in that area. You can see the evidence of debt being normalized in society by when car commercials come on. Now they actually hook you with how much per month instead of how much the car is in total, because they know that people don't really care how long they're paying it off. They just want to know if they can afford to eat and pay their monthly car payment, which is really scary. Another is with the invention of credit. You have a credit score, and it is publicized, or in commercials it's shown that the better score you have, the better off you are. But if you think about it, credit scores are scores based off of how well you attain debt and pay it off. So it's not necessarily how much money you have, or if you're good for it. It's just a history of how timely you've been at paying off your debt, not that you've not been in it, because that doesn't count towards your score at all, which I think is mind-blowing. But I don't think that it's our fault that we think of credit this way, because it's easy, it's quick, and you're constantly being bombarded with why it's good. You get credit cards in the mail as soon as you're 18 saying, hey, we've approved you, congratulations, you can spend this much money. And it's not their job to tell you that later it's going to be this much money that you have to pay back because of interest or compound interest. But it's just a whole shift in society, because back in the day, you would pay for your house outright, but it was a smaller house, and businessmen like J.C. Penney and Henry Ford actually didn't allow credit at their stores. You'd have to pay it outright because they didn't believe in going into debt for something. If you really wanted it, then you would save up for it and purchase it all at once. And not just with the invention of credit cards, but in general, I think that we get more for nothing, but we don't understand the complete ramifications of it. I think that it's not because you aren't smart that you get into situations like this. It's because you weren't educated properly, and you shouldn't need to be an accountant or study to be an accountant to understand how to properly afford a house or a car, or make good financial decisions with investments and credit card use and things like that. And I personally think that the best way to combat against huge debt and homelessness and things like that is we need to educate people earlier than when they have no other option than to call a debt consolidation company, because half the time those are scams too. So if we implemented finance education like we do speech or health or English, I think that it would really cause society to shift more. I think that a lot of people that have taken those huge loans out to go to college have gotten a rude awakening, and maybe they'll educate their children in a different way, so we might create a change that way, but it needs to be free education to learn about money, because money affects everyone, and we need to educate them about what problems that they're going to face with student loans and possibly causing a future divorce, foreclosure, and I think that if we do educate people beforehand, then we would really create a better and happier society. With that said, I in no shape or form think that the American dream is dead. I just think that it has been distorted in a way that is a disservice to the individual, and I hope that you now know the importance of financial literacy and you will share and educate others. Just to go over what we talked about, the greater population is uneducated about and therefore falls victim to their own money. If we educate people on how to manage their money properly, they will likely be happier. And financial education is important in today's world because it relates to everyone. Everything costs money. There's no such thing as a free lunch. And if we make a conscious decision to manage our money, then it won't have a chance to manage you. Thank you for your time.